Why are men stepping back from traditional roles of work and marriage? Why are so many young men seemingly content to spend their days in a state of perpetual adolescence, retreating into video games and online echo chambers? The truth is, we are witnessing a crisis of masculinity, a complex phenomenon driven by both societal shifts and deeply personal struggles. In this series, we're going to peel back the layers of this cultural moment, exploring the underlying societal issues and offering insights into how men can find purpose and fulfillment in a world that often feels increasingly chaotic and uncertain. We are constantly bombarded with news of economic growth and booming stock markets, but for many this prosperity feels intangible. Wages have stagnated, while the cost of living has skyrocketed. The traditional path to success seems increasingly out of reach. This economic reality strikes at the heart of traditional manhood. Men are raised to be providers, to build a secure foundation. When that ability is compromised, it can lead to a profound sense of inadequacy. There was once a time when hard work and dedication were met with a steady job and a decent wage. This was the social contract. But the rules have changed. Globalization and automation have reshaped the employment landscape. The gig economy offers flexibility, but lacks stability. It's about the erosion of trust in systems, and the fear of being left adrift in uncertainty. The traditional roles of men as providers and protectors are being questioned and redefined. The women's liberation movement has contributed to a sense of displacement for some men. As women claim their place in the workforce, some men grapple with uncertainty. The script has been flipped, leaving many men feeling lost. Constant messages equating masculinity with toxicity add to the confusion. Faced with these challenges, it's understandable why some men are choosing to disengage. Why participate in a system that feels rigged against them? Why strive for a future that seems increasingly unattainable? This disengagement manifests in various ways. Retreating into video games, withdrawing from relationships, or seeking refuge in online echo chambers, where their frustrations are validated and amplified. This withdrawal is not a sign of weakness, but a coping mechanism, a way to manage the overwhelming sense of disillusionment and despair. However, this retreat from the real world comes at a cost. It leads to social isolation, stunted personal growth, and a perpetuation of the very problems that led to the disengagement in the first place. It's a vicious cycle, and breaking free requires us to confront these challenges head-on, not retreat from them. We cannot ignore the role that broader societal shifts have played in this crisis of masculinity. The decline of traditional communities, the rise of social media, and the atomization of society have all contributed to a sense of isolation and a loss of meaning for many men. Social media, while connecting us virtually, often exacerbates feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. The curated perfection of online personas stands in stark contrast to the messy reality of everyday life, leaving many men feeling like they fall short. This disparity can lead to a constant state of comparison, envy, and a sense that they are not enough. It's time we acknowledge the role that these societal forces play in shaping the lives of men and work towards creating a culture that fosters genuine connection, purpose, and a sense of belonging. Throughout history, men have oscillated between two fundamental instincts, the predator and the prey. In times of abundance, when resources are plentiful and life is relatively secure, the prey instinct comes to the forefront. We become more complacent, risk-averse, and focused on maintaining the status quo. However, when resources become scarce, when competition intensifies, and the future feels uncertain, the predator instinct is activated. We become more assertive, more willing to take risks, and more focused on securing our place in the hierarchy. Today, many men find themselves caught in a strange paradox. We live in a time of unprecedented material wealth, yet many feel a deep sense of insecurity and uncertainty. The traditional paths to success are narrowing, competition for resources is intensifying, and the future feels increasingly unpredictable. This creates a breeding ground for anxiety, frustration, and a sense of being under threat. Social media has become both a symptom and a contributing factor to the crisis of masculinity. On the one hand, it offers men a platform to connect, to express themselves, and to find community. On the other hand, it often serves as a breeding ground for comparison, insecurity, and validation-seeking behavior. The curated perfection of online profiles can fuel a sense of inadequacy, leading men to constantly measure themselves against unrealistic standards. This constant exposure to idealized versions of masculinity can lead to a distorted self-image, a feeling that one can never quite measure up. The pursuit of likes, followers, and online validation becomes a substitute for genuine connection and self-worth. It's essential to recognize the illusory nature of online personas and to cultivate a sense of self-worth that is rooted in something more substantial than fleeting digital approval. In a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, it's more important than ever for men to focus on personal growth and development. This means taking responsibility for our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. It means developing our competencies, pursuing our passions, and cultivating a strong sense of self-reliance. This is not about conforming to societal expectations, but about becoming the best versions of ourselves. It's about embracing the challenges and opportunities that life throws our way and using them as fuel for growth. It's about developing a resilient spirit, a willingness to confront our weaknesses, and a commitment to constant improvement. This journey of self-discovery is not a solo endeavor. It requires the support of other men, mentors, and a community that values personal growth and accountability. While it's important to acknowledge the very real challenges that men face, it's equally important to avoid the trap of victimhood. Dwelling in resentment and blaming external forces for our circumstances ultimately keeps us stuck. True empowerment comes from taking responsibility for our lives, for our choices, and for our actions. This means rejecting the temptation to make excuses, to blame others, or to adopt a mindset of powerlessness. It means focusing on what we can control, on our own actions and decisions, and on building a life of purpose and meaning, regardless of the circumstances. This is not about denying the existence of societal problems. It's about refusing to let those problems define us. It's about choosing to be active agents in our own lives rather than passive recipients of whatever fate throws our way. In an age of information overload, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and uncertain about who to trust. We are bombarded with conflicting narratives, expert opinions, and ideological agendas. In this environment, it's essential to cultivate a healthy skepticism, to question authority, and to think critically for ourselves. This doesn't mean rejecting all forms of authority or expertise, but it does mean approaching information with a discerning eye, evaluating different perspectives, and forming our own conclusions. It means being willing to challenge the status quo, to question assumptions, and to think for ourselves. This is not about being contrarian for the sake of it. It's about developing the intellectual independence to navigate a complex world and to arrive at our own truth. In a culture obsessed with instant gratification and material success, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: meaningful relationships, purpose-driven work, and a life of service to something greater than ourselves. True fulfillment comes not from accumulating possessions, but from cultivating virtues, contributing to something larger than ourselves, and leaving a positive impact on the world. It's about finding joy in the simple things, in the connections we forge with others, and in the pursuit of something that transcends our own ego. This might involve reconnecting with our communities, finding purpose in our work, or dedicating ourselves to a cause we believe in. So where do we go from here? How do we navigate these challenges and find a path to fulfillment in a world that often feels increasingly complex and uncertain? First, it's essential to take ownership of our lives. This means setting clear goals, developing healthy habits, and taking consistent action towards the life we want to create. Second, we need to cultivate meaningful connections. This means investing in our relationships, building a strong support network, and contributing to our communities. Finally, we must find purpose and meaning beyond ourselves. This might involve pursuing our passions, contributing to a cause we believe in, or dedicating ourselves to something larger than ourselves. We've covered a lot of ground in this series, exploring the complex challenges facing men today. Remember, the decision to disengage is often a response to feeling powerless and disillusioned. But true empowerment comes from taking responsibility, from choosing to step back into the arena of life, and from actively shaping our own destinies. We've explored the importance of personal growth, the need to reject victimhood, and the power of finding meaning and purpose beyond ourselves. Now I want to hear from you. How are you navigating these challenges? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.